Yo, what is up guys? Project Zomboid recently has hit an all-time peak. It's almost at like 5,000 concurrent players, which is absolutely insane. So I'm seeing a lot more new faces, and I just want to say thanks real quick before I get started with the video. But today, I'm going to be doing another guide, and this time we're going to be covering the perks that I really like in the character creation menu, including a few professions as well. This is just from my personal experience, so it might be a little bit different from what you find important. Anyways, I hope this helps you out in any way possible. Let's get started. Also, I should say this beforehand, I am running the Build 41 beta branch. If you are new to the game, make sure you have it enabled because it changes literally everything about the game and it makes it so much more better. And the gameplay you see is going to be a part of my cryogenic winter series, which has been a real trip. Link in the description if you want to go check that out as well. Alrighty, to start it off with, we're going to be covering the positives, and then we're going to head into the negatives, and after that we're going to do the professions. To start it off with some pretty decent positives, we're going to be starting off with Brave. Now, this basically means you're less prone to becoming panicked, and if you guys don't know, becoming panicked really affects your weapon accuracy, so taking Brave makes your character so much better in terms of combat when you're fighting groups. It's definitely worth it if you are using a lot of melee attacks, because you're more prone to be hitting critical chances, and you're going to be killing a lot more zombies quickly if you're not, in extreme panic, so it's even more useful if you're picking a profession, let's say like police officer, and you need to really rely on accuracy, because being in extreme panic basically makes you the equivalent of a stormtrooper, so having that is going to be pretty useful for aiming and just swinging your weapons correctly. For the next one we got is one of my favorites, Fit and Athletic. Now this one isn't as important as I say Strength. We're going to be covering Strength in a little bit. My god, Strength is so good. But anyways, Fit and Athletic, kind of self-explanatory. You can run for longer, you can do a lot more, you can swing longer, you can fight longer. It's honestly just really helpful to have, especially for the more longer wind type scenarios that you find yourself in. Also, when you're athletic, you have a plus 20% running speed bonus, which is pretty nice. And another thing with athletic is that you actually have a minus 60% endurance loss, so you can recover from being overexerted very quickly. So it's very nice to get right back into the game right after you get winded. Definitely top tier, I'd say. This one is pretty darn good as well, and we're going to be covering Lucky. Now, if you like finding axes and really good weapons like the katana in, the most unexpected places, this is definitely a good perk to take, because it makes finding that kind of stuff really easy, and it definitely adds up, and you can really feel it when you actually have it enabled. Overall, pretty good pick. Alrighty, here's my favorite positive perk, and honestly, my most useful one, and that's going to be Strong/Stout. I'm going to be mixing the two together because they're practically the same thing. But basically, it gives you way more strength in the future, and sure, you can level it up using fitness, but in the early game, it helps out so much just to have it right off from the bat, because it takes honestly weeks to level up your fitness and strength, so having it immediately is great. You literally get a plus 40% damage bonus with melee weapons, which is pretty darn insane. You also get a lot more carry weight. At the max amount of level of strength, you're going to get like around 20 carry capacity, which is about the same as a little bit over a duffel bag actually. So it's really useful. You can also shove zombies way farther and super easy. So overall, one of the best perks ever, because it helps out with so much. So darn much. Get it, okay? Even if it's stout, it's still going to help out quite a bit. Okay, this one is a little bit of a sleeper perk. No pun intended, of course. But it's going to be Wakeful. Now, one of the things that people don't really think of is that being drowsy really screws your character up. And sure, you might think, Wakeful, well, that's not useful. I want to sleep for a good half of the day, especially when it's night. But the thing is that doing any action that requires physical exertion in the game is going to exhaust your character way quicker. So I've literally found that my characters would get tired at around 5 to 6 p.m. and I'd be able to sleep. Now, this is a bit of a problem because even the first, drowsy perk, it affects your combat speed and just your overall combat ability a whole bunch, so having that stack on top of other stuff is honestly not useful. So Wakeful, pretty darn useful, especially for only being 4 points. Next one is a bit of a freebie as it is only 2 positive points, but that's going to be Dexterous. You do not know how useful it actually is, and I'm sure actually a lot of you do know how good it is, but the ability to actually transfer inventory items quickly is going to be super helpful, especially when you're under, a little bit of pressure. Say you just went into a store and you need to hurry up, grab stuff out of the cupboard, and get the hell out of Dodge. Well, Dexterous is going to help out with that. Or let's say you need to hurry up, pull a shotgun out of your backpack and blast a couple Zed heads. Dexterous, it's got your back. Pretty darn good for only 2 perk points. This one isn't also a little bit more of a sleeper one, but it's honestly super useful, especially if you're still getting your feet into the water of the game. But this is going to be Keen Hearing. And basically what it does is give you a third eye, okay? You can look literally behind you. It gives you like a little awareness circle, and it's very nice, especially if you find yourself getting killed over and over again by those ninja zombies that somehow come up behind you. This time, you're going to be able to see them come up from behind you, which might save your life, especially when you're not thinking and you're not using your ears much. This next perk probably has the most amount of utility compared to the rest of them, but it's going to be handy. Basically, all it does is give you weapon maintenance, which is super useful to have, a +1 to carpentry, which is honestly really nice, especially when you get that XP bonus on top of it. And it also gives you 100 HP to all constructions, so that means, you know, even barricading a window with some boards is going to help out a lot more than if you didn't have it. So yeah, if you do plan on building a base or going a full carpentry spear build, I definitely say handy as a top pick. Unless you're taking carpentry worker, then you don't really need it. Okay, last but not least is definitely going to be for more of like the combat build focus, but it's going to be both baseball player and brawler. And the reason why I say this is I kind of mentioned it a little bit before, but all they do is give you, a couple points in an attacking skill, which might not seem like much at all. But the thing is that if you take something like, say, baseball player, right? It gives you that one extra bar in long blunt. Okay, that extra bar actually gives you a little bit of an XP bonus. So instead of just working at 100% XP rate, you're going to be working at 125. And if you stack something like Fast Learner on top of that, just using a baseball bat for a day is just going to power level you like crazy. So having that stack up on top of it is really nice. So Brawler, honestly one of the better perks, especially if you're going to be attacking a lot of zombies with your weapons. I kind of mentioned this in the previous, perk, but now we're going to be covering Fast Learner. It's a little bit of a self-explanatory one. If you're a little bit impatient and you just want to get it done, this is going to help out quite a bit, especially early game. But it gives you 30% more experience overall, so that is pretty crazy. Okay, then you gotta take that 30% experience and add it on top of all the other bonuses you have. Okay, Fast Learner just doesn't cover bookworm skills. It also covers physical skills as well, so you can see how that'd be pretty useful. Totally worth the 6 points in my opinion. Alrighty, now that we got the positive perks out of the way, we're gonna be covering the quote-unquote good negatives. These are the negative, perk traits that won't affect much on your character and won't completely cripple them and make them a genetic dead end, okay? So we're gonna be started off from the top. Okay, for the first negative, technically two, we're going to be covering over and underweight. Now, this might seem like a pretty bad perk to begin with, but these are one of the only perks that you can actually reverse in terms of, having them, right? So if you start off overweight, you're a little bit chunky, but if you go on a proper diet, you can lose that perk, and it's practically going to become free points in like almost a matter of a month. So if you can survive that long, it's definitely one of the better perks to take, especially when you can get positives like Brave, which last the entire time. Now, the thing is, with overweight, you don't have any, debuff to endurance or strength, but if you do take underweight, you are going to be losing 1 bar in terms of fitness, so you got to watch out for that. Also, I don't recommend going any above or below over or underweight, because that's when you start to get into the territory of having it completely affect your character. So even if you do lose the weight, you're still going to have the changes from those. So I definitely stay away from them if you're just starting out. Just wanted to clear this up real quick. There is a drawback to overweight, and it basically locks out any of the athletic perks, so watch out for that if you do decide to choose overweight. This one doesn't really give you a lot of points, which is only like 2, but it honestly is one of the freebies that you're always going to take, I feel like, because you can easily negate it. But this is going to be Slow Reader. All it does is make you a little bit slower when going through books and magazines, which you can completely negate by just speeding up the time. So honestly, super darn useful. Okay, it's basically in every character build you should take, Slow Reader. This is another one that seems kinda bad to boot, but honestly isn't, and this is gonna be Smoker. Now, the thing is, with Project Zomboid right now currently, I don't know if it's gonna change in the future. You can find cigarettes pretty darn easily. They even spawn on zombies, so you're gonna have them even if you loot the entire map off the face of the planet. But all it does is make you having to rely on smokes, and you have to smoke around 1 cigarette a day. And all it does as a debuff is make you a little bit anxious, which might give you a night terror or two, but honestly, it's a free 6 points, okay? All you have to do is just smoke once in a while, and finding cigarettes is super easy, so it's not hard to keep that addiction going, right? There's nothing like withdrawal in the game right now, so you really don't have to worry about much. This one affects the same amount of, I guess, points, and that's going to be high thirst. All it basically does is make you a real thirsty boy, but it honestly doesn't matter too much now. The water does go out. But the thing is that every single container, say like a sink or a toilet, has a repository of water. And you can also boil and easily create your own fresh water. So honestly, having, I guess, high thirst isn't that much of a problem. Especially since a single bottle of water can probably last you the entire day, even with high thirst. Honestly, super useful to have. It's basically a free 6 points at this point. This one is also a bit of a no-brainer, and honestly shouldn't be one of the perks you'll be running into just playing through normally, as long as you got a good head on your shoulders, and that's going to be prone to illness. Basically what it means is that you're, a little bit more susceptible to the diseases. Now, you might be wondering, how do I counter this? It's simple, just having common sense. Don't go outside, when it's raining and cold. Only stay outside for as long as you're going to be chilly, and you should be alright, you shouldn't be getting sick. So honestly, it's free points. It really is. All these perks are free points. This one is another common sense one, and this is literally the negative perk that I take on almost every single character build nonetheless, with slow reader, and that's gonna be weak stomach. All you have to do for this one, it's a little bit crazy, so hear me out. Don't eat rotten food. And then you won't even notice that it's there, baby! Free 3 points! Let's do it! Okay, I might have gotten a little bit too overhyped at that last one, but this is going to be the final negative trait that I personally would take on my character. Of course, there are others that you might be able to work around, but it's going to be pacifist. Now, you might be wondering, that sounds like a terrible perk, but honestly, all pacifist does is remove a weapon XP bonus. So if you're not too keen on fighting a lot of zombies, and you want that extra point to put into something a little bit more, I guess, permanent, I'd definitely take it. It's only a negative 25% reduction, so it's not that bad, especially if you're going to be more of like, the stealthy types. So if you need some extra points and you're really strapped, I'd say go for pacifist. This one is definitely not for the beginner, but I'm going to be doing thin-skinned. Now basically all this does is give you a carried heightened risk of infection. So let's say you get scratched, it's going to be a little bit higher of a chance that you're just going to get murked from the infection. Now the reason why I take thin-skinned on a lot of character builds is because I'm not trying to get scratched in the first place, right? This is supposed to be a no damage run, baby. So if you need that, an extra 6 points, and you don't know what else to take out, and you're a little bit more confident in the fact that you won't get, absolutely ripped to shreds, I'd take thin-skinned, but obviously it comes with a pretty big drawback. This is probably the most controversial one that probably isn't just free points. Another one, I'm going to be covering the inverse of lucky, and this is going to be unlucky. All it basically affects is it gives you a minus 10% chance of finding rare loot. So if you don't really care about finding a lot of axes and stuff, and you're fine with the good old lead pipe, then take it. It's free 4 points. This one completely left my mind when I was recording this, so I'm adding this in post, but if you want an easy 6 points, take Slow Healer. It literally only adds in like an extra day of healing if you do get scratched. It is totally worth the 6 points. Like, that's actually so good. It is such a good negative perk. I literally take it on every single character build. Just wanted to update that because it is a pretty good perk. Alrighty, now that we're done with the positive and negatives, I'm going to be going into just a single synergy that I really love. But there's agoraphobic and claustrophobic, which basically makes you panic if you're indoors and outdoors. Now, the thing is that you're going to be able to pair claustrophobic with the positive perk, Adrenaline Junkie. And basically what this creates is as soon as you head outside, your character's going to be crapping your pants, okay? He's going to be super inaccurate, he's going to be really bad with combat. But he's going to be fast, okay? Like, really fast, like Sonic level speed fast. So it's one of the cooler synergies, definitely in the game, that you could probably pick. Just pick Agoraphobic and Adrenaline Junkie, and you'll be basically a speed build. Okay, we finally got both the positives and the negatives out of the way. Now we're going to be checking out some of the cooler professions that I personally enjoy. First things first is definitely going to be my favorite build, and that's going to be the Lumberjack. If you want to be an absolute god with an axe, just pick Lumberjack, okay? It gives you a +2 in the axe skill, which is already really good considering the XP bonuses. It gives you a +1 in strength, but the best thing is the perk Axeman, which makes you swing axes a lot faster than usual. So you're going to be able to go through zombies like it's a goddamn Hollywood flick, okay? The next one is probably going to be objectively the best profession in the game currently, and that's going to be burglar. Okay, it gives you necessary and very nicely needed stealth perks. Nimble, light-footed, sneak. Okay, so you're going to be able to move in and out of the shadows, hopefully without attracting much attention. But another thing that it just added was that you can hotwire vehicles! And that is insane, especially for a burglar, like, I guess, trait. Like, it's a game changer, because usually, in order to find a working vehicle, you'd first need to find the keys, and then you could find gas. But the thing is, you can get gas anywhere. But if you don't have the keys, you're kind of screwed out of it until you can actually work to those points, right? I think it's something like in electricity and mechanics, which is quite a bit to, I guess, work up to. But if you take burglar, you're going to be able to hotwire any vehicle from the start. So in order to get a working vehicle, all you need is some gas, and you can hotwire literally anything in the game. Super damn useful. The next one is going to be super damn useful as well, especially if you get yourself into combat a whole lot. And this is going to be the veteran profession. Basically, it gives you the perk Desensitized, which makes your character just a stone-cold killing machine. They don't experience panic anymore, which means your accuracy and crit chances are just off the roof, and they're going to be going through zombies like crazy. It's especially useful if you have a gun, because you're going to be able to aim with dead accuracy, provided you have the skills in the firearm tree, of course. And last but not least, we're going to be covering Repairman. Now, Repairman is a little bit off from the rest of them, but it's honestly super darn useful. You know, if you find yourself using a lot of more rare weapons, let's say you find a katana and you really want to make it last, then Repairman is gonna be the bee's knees, because it gives you like 2 points in weapon maintenance, which is gonna be pretty nice. It also gives you a level 1 in carpentry, so if you do plan on building bases in a little bit, that's gonna help out quite a bit as well. Overall, it's a pretty good hobby or profession to get into, especially for the aspiring builders slash weapon guy, I guess. Alrighty, that's gonna wrap it up for my favorite perks in the game. You guys might have your own, I guess, suggestions or even synergies, kind of like the, Adrenaline Junkie Cowardly perk. But yeah, this is definitely what I've picked up during the game. Of course, my experience on the game is gonna be a lot different from someone else's, so their level of importance is definitely gonna be, somewhere different from where mine is. But hopefully, at the end of the day, that I was able to help you guys out, even just a little bit. That's the whole plan with these videos. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, favorite, share, subscribe for more. I will see you guys in the next episode. Have a darn good day. Peace out.